The Dalai Lama said, "My religion is kindness." That's quite a surprising statement. He didn't say, "My religion is Buddhism." My religion is kindness. What is that kindness? It's loving kindness. Metta, sometimes called. Loving kindness arises from that, the deeper level of consciousness. And then love is the simplest way of putting it. You can then feel an outflow of loving kindness towards the other person. And what you can sense then is beyond that person, there is their being, their consciousness, which is one with your consciousness. You can sense the unconditioned in the other as being one with your. This is the end of the delusion of absolute separateness. And that's love. That's the true meaning of love. That's the outflow of benevolence, which is another word you could use, goodwill, benevolence, an outflow of benevolence towards the other. Because the other is no longer totally other. And since you're no longer operating from ego, that is the opposite of the ego's continuous attempts to emphasize the otherness of others. So this is the opposite of that. In order you no longer see the other as absolutely other, although you do recognize there is a conditioned personality there, there is a conditioned person there. Yes, everybody has one. There's a conditioned person there, and the conditioned person may even be a bit difficult, maybe full of judgments, maybe full of behavior that's deeply conditioned behavior patterns. And you recognize that also. But you do not equate the conditioning of this person with their identity, their true being. So you can recognize the conditioning of another, the personality, the person, without equating it with their identity. And that's the real meaning of letting go of judgment. Letting go of judgment is not equating the conditioning of the other with their identity. And that's an enormous liberation. Because every time you judge another, you're judging yourself. You fall back into egoic identity. Again, it doesn't mean you cannot recognize certain patterns, and you cannot recognize, let's say you recognize that this person wants to cheat you wants to sell you a car, but it's not working. He says, "This is a great car." Well, you know, and you see what this person is doing. He's been doing it for 20 years. That's become part of his personality. You say, "Okay, no, I'd rather not buy it." You're not making this person into an enemy. You're not equating their behavior patterns with who they are. You can still have an outflow of loving kindness towards that person. And that changes relationships. Then relationships are no longer totally determined by mutual conditionings, persons. So that has to come in. That is the transcendent dimension of reality. If you don't access that, your personal relationship will be mostly unsatisfying. And if you access that, then most personal relationships will be fine. There may be some humans where you recognize very deep-seated toxic conditioning, and it may be your choice to remove yourself from them that's fine. And even then you know that is a heavy covering of their being. There's a density of their personality, the conditioned structure. In some humans it's great density. Gradually, it is our purpose and function to gradually decrease the density of the personality so that the light of the unconditioned can shine through more freely. The analogy I sometimes use is a lampshade. You as a person are the lampshade. Behind that is a light. And some lampshades are so dense that very little light gets through, or the light gets distorted. And then gradually you lose the density. How do you lose the density? Well, for most humans, up to a point, through suffering. Suffering gradually erodes the ego. And then there comes a point when you recognize what's going on, and when you reach that point, this is the beginning of no longer needing to suffer, because then you voluntarily let go of the conditioned entity as much as you can, or it's still there. You voluntarily let go and become voluntarily present in order to, life doesn't have to force you into being present through suffering. I can't take anymore. There's only this moment. So that's gradually you lose the density, and then suffering has fulfilled its purpose. It has taken you to this point. And for your further flowering of consciousness to take place in you, you don't need to suffer anymore. It doesn't mean you don't get challenged anymore. Life will still challenge you now and then. It does that. It's here to challenge you, by the way. Some people believe the world is here to make them happy, but it's not doing it. There's something wrong. Why isn't the world what it's supposed to do? Something is wrong. Everybody else is happy. I see it on Facebook. And everybody else is so good looking. I see it on Facebook too. Why isn't the world making me happy? Well, that's all a delusion. The world is here to make you conscious, to awaken you, and then the world is okay. It is no longer a threatening place, and you become a benevolent force in this world. And that's how the world changes. But don't believe the world is here to make you happy. Its function is to challenge you. And it does it all the time. Now, when you get challenged, when you've reached the point where suffering is not needed anymore, and then you still get challenged by life. In other words, things sometimes don't go the way you expect them to go, difficult, obstacle arising on your path or whatever. Then the challenges are no longer transformed into suffering, unhappiness. The world doesn't make you unhappy anymore whenever something happens that you don't like, or it doesn't goes against your expectations. The challenges do not cause you unhappiness anymore. In fact, you will then notice that every challenge deepens the presence in you. You become more present. A difficult person comes into your life, and you are more present. And the other person is, what's going on? Why aren't you responding? I need some feedback of negativity. Please give me. I want you to participate in my drama. No.